Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. This is the middle of the evening and we are unboxing a card game called Pantheon by designer Timothy Brown. This was originally, or it's published by Signal Fire Game, but it's printed through DriveThruCards. That's print on demand. You can get just like a PDF version to print it yourself, or you can print it out, as I did. It's like 108 cards. This is like the the invoice thing that comes in the box. Came with this. Well, I paid extra for the plastic case, and did not come with this artwork. Oddly enough, this is the artwork that is shown on the DriveThruCards site, and I just went ahead and printed that image, scaled it down to the right side so it fit in there. These are 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards, and I scaled this image down by 25%, and it fits almost exactly. I suppose a 26% scale or something. 30% was too big when I first tried that. But anyway, so this is a card game. Now, I'm unboxing this here. The reason I have this one is I did an unboxing of the game Monstrous a little while back. That's a card game about the mythological mayhem of the Greek gods tossing down onto the table the monster cards, trying to hit the various cities and all sorts of strange mayhem there. Now, I'm doing that to get ideas for a card game I'm working on that's going to be based on Greek mythology, travel, sort of in the vein of Jason the Argonauts, or the Labors of Hercules, or the Odyssey, or some mix of all of those, or one of those, or whatever. I haven't decided yet. And I've been looking at other games, trying to get ideas, see what's out there, so I don't overlap, and just spark some creativity and stuff. And I discovered this game searching around. So let's take a look at this. So this is a typical printer's card for a batch. Like we've seen those when I've unboxed Blue Panther games. Now, this isn't by Blue Panther again. This is from DriveThruCards. This is the first time I've ever had anything printed by DriveThruCards. And maybe it's something I could use when I get my card game done, and I might just self-publish with them, and them being the printers or whatnot. Printed in the US. So that's that. All right. So there's a band on there to keep those together. So 108 card deck, that's pretty big. Okay, these are grayscale backs. They're all identical. These look to be black and white front, well, with some gray. Now, something I'm noticing here already, some of these have a little bit of a black border on them that doesn't seem to be consistent. So I'd say a little scaling issue between their graphics and the size of the cards, the fact they have rounded corners, or maybe not 100% perfectly square. So that's something that I would, if I were to use DriveThruCards, I would figure out how to avoid that. And I would guess to have no black border at all between these, that I would have some kind of bleed in the line that they cut, that it would be equally white on both sides, so that you wouldn't have any odd black thing there. So that's a production issue. So let's not focus on that too much. That's not a big deal. The game is still playable. I would find this annoying over time to have that line there, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so there's a bunch of worshipers. They look to be in currencies, like, okay, there's thousands, there's 500s, there's hundreds. So obviously there's gods here. You're trying to gain worshipers through your actions. There's quite a while. They even go down to 10. So thousands, 500s, 100s, 50s, and 10s. Okay, so that's taken up a fair number of the cards there. Now, my card game that I'm working on, from a design perspective, it's going to be smaller. I'm going to try to make it a 55 card game or less. So we're traveling, so I'm probably going to measure it in leagues and I'll probably not have as much granularity as this. So, you know, maybe like 150s, 150s, something like that. You know, maybe if you travel 300 leagues, you know, 300 leagues, what is it, 7 leagues, I can't remember. All right, so you got temples, stone temples, wood temples. So simple black and white art. Not the greatest here, not the worstest. All right, wooden temples. So this looks in the Greek style. This looks like in a Japanese style. Volcano. Okay, there's only one volcano, it appears. Schism, plague, mortal lovers, migrations. So these are labeled civilization cards on the bottom. But they seem more like event cards. Jealousy, Messiah, Iron, Imprisonment, Human Sacrifice, High Priest, Heresy, Feud, False Messiah, Civil War, Bronze, Agicult, Royal Sanctions. Okay, so these are quote-unquote civilization cards. To me, they look what I would call an event card. And here they go. Okay, so Norse gods, Hindu gods, Greek gods, Egyptian gods, and Chinese gods. Okay, so you got these different pantheons. Again, the name of the game is Pantheon. So I'm assuming each player takes one of those pantheons. Oh boy, I don't see rules in here. Those must have come as a PDF. Evidently, they don't print those. You get the cards printed, but not the rules. The rules are by PDF only. I'm guessing. I have to go back and double check that. But I do remember downloading something. So even though I was paying for the printed cards, I would have thought you would have got the printed rules also, but that didn't seem to be the case. All right. So yeah, there's 5 per 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each god has certain. And as usual, folks, I got cut off in the middle there by an alarm on my clock. I'll have to learn that I will always under or overestimate the amount of time it takes me to do one of these or how much time I have before my next event that I have an alarm set for, and turn off the darn alarm before I start filming something. All right, so saying they have special abilities. Your temples cannot be damaged or destroyed. Worshipper cards in this god's column may only be reduced if you lose a challenge. Weather god. Choose another player as your enemy and engage in a war. Reshuffle one of the 2 discard piles. God of Chaos. Choose another player as your enemy and engage in war. So I'm not sure how often you get to do. There's a top and a bottom. Here, it looks like there's some symbol next to some of these, but the symbol's not there. It's like a round dot. So like this one has it only next to the bottom one. This one has next to both. Sun, god of creation. All right, so there are the gods with their special abilities. There are all those worshipers that are like just change. But I'm assuming you draw a certain number of cards and you're getting a certain number of worshipers, and there may be a way to steal them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, so it's twice as many wooden temples as stone temples. Was there 5 different pantheons? There was 5 gods in each pantheon. 1. Wait a minute, are we missing? No, there's set. Okay. So yeah, there's 5 gods per 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 different pantheons, 5 gods per pantheon. So potentially you could have 1 stone temple and 2 wood temples per on average. I don't know if there's anything that limits you. You could dominate and get all the temples. How many civilization cards / event cards are there? Now, looking at this though, there's not the kind I was hoping for ideas of monsters. I suppose, events of these natures, these could help inspire me for what I might want to have in my game. But I've been looking more for ideas about different kind of monsters. And again, I'm only looking at the Greek portion of this that I would look at, since mine is definitely not going to be, multi pantheons, but a single pantheon. I'm going to be monopantheistic in that sense. But some of these ideas for event cards, even though they're called civilization cards, there might be something here that I could be inspired by. So I will take a look at this more in detail later. But without those rules handy, I can't really see how the play is, how many cards you draw, what that says. So sorry about it. I did not realize that there was not a rules in the bottom there. But it looks like obviously a very simple card game if it just has worshippers, god cards, temple cards, and civilizations. There's I don't know how you do battles. They talk about the god or do a war. There's a civil war card. I don't think there was a war card per se. These sounds like things that are going to happen to the worshippers and the temples that the draw of these are causing things to happen, whereas the god abilities, they're directing things to be happened. Doesn't necessarily sound like it says use a card to do this. It's like, hey, you can avoid this or you can cause something to happen. It doesn't say that you have to have a card to do that. So, well, let's call it there, folks. This is Meandering Mike of the Man Cave of Madness. We are looking at the card game Pantheon. I'm trying to remember what it cost me. I think it was only around $20-ish to get the card game printed. Maybe a little more because it was a 108 card deck. The plastic case, I think, cost me a couple of extra bucks. And there was shipping, of course. And since it's cards, it can't be sent media mail. I think it was UPS Ground Advantage or something like that. And that might have been $5, $6, $8, somewhere in there. I don't remember. So all total, I think this came up to around $30, which, for a card game, you'd expect to get a little more game for that price. But this is, independently published, was it Signal Fire Games? I think that's Jamie Chambers' company. He's done role-playing games in the past. He's not a big game producer. He's just, your average dude in the role-playing game sphere who's done stuff in the past. And, I could see actually worked on, was it the Serenity role-playing game and a few other things like that. But Timothy Brown, I believe Jamie Chambers was the developer on this game. Timothy Brown was the designer. I'm not familiar with Timothy Brown's other works. But now, if this nice artwork was on the back of these cards, like that, nice in color. Of course, you probably have to spend more to have color cards printed. And if they solved this border problem, not having those funky edges bleeding over in black, there's got to be a way to solve that. Which I'm saying there's got to be a way. Or I would not use this card game publisher if there's not a way to, they probably have some template submission rules, how to submit your stuff. And I suppose if you follow that carefully, this game was originally designed back in 2012, give or take. I can't remember. I'm trying to read in 2013, somewhere in there, 2011. And I don't think DriveThruCards was around 10 years ago. So there might have been just some problems translating, putting it over on this format and that. But if I were to use DriveThruCards as a platform to publish my game, absolutely this would have to be solved. I would not allow this to be. This thing should not be. So I may come back once I read the rules and look at that and see if I actually come through a how to play and a playthrough, or or I'm going to do a little more design in-depth look at the game that I'm working on, or the games that I'm working on, and talk about, you know, what I've pulled from what games so far and what I'm doing. And you know, there's nothing such as plagiarize. You never want to take something. You never want to take the text of anyone's rules. You never want to copy anything wholesale. Never take any artwork. But to be inspired by a game, to look at things that they have in them, to, you know, even particular mechanics. Mechanics are not copyrightable. Mechanisms is the proper term. People say mechanics, but it's mechanisms. Game mechanisms. There are very few game patents out there, and patents are frowned on. They're not a bad idea. They're too expensive. They're hard to enforce. The biggest boo-boo of all was, you know, stupid Wizard of the Coast trying to patent Magic the Gathering and the concept and the wording of tapping and all that stuff. That was just shame on them. Anyway, Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness, we'll end it here. This is Pantheon, printed from DriveThruCards, Signifier Games, Signifier Productions. I can't remember the designer. Timothy Brown, Jamie Chambers developer. Check it out if you're interested in this kind of game, or wait and see what I do with a possible playthrough or how to play later. Take care and ciao, everyone.